You want to see something really pretty? We're back. We're back. We're back. This is the Bentley suspension overhaul. It continues. Today is a good day because we're going to be sealing up that driver's side before starting on the passenger side. If you missed the other video, I link it here for you to check out. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe while you're here. Let's get to it. It's too cold to work outside. This is it. This is the final day on the driver's side, getting all the suspension stuff done. Forward control arm, the rear wood. I can't speak. The front, the back lower control arms. The front and back upper control arms, which are attached to this Air Strut. New sway bar end links. I do have a new tie rod coming that I can install at a later date. Then we can finish up and do the passenger side. Hopefully it won't be as bad as this side was. Let's go. So first thing is lifting big old Bertha into position. It's a quite tricky job because she's a big lady, big old lady. And then the trickiest part is when you lift it in, is holding it up while you do the reach around to do the 3 little bolts on top. That's like the hardest thing right there. And you have limited time to like lift it up and reach around and do the bolts because well, I have limited time because I run out of strength. Like I physically just run out of strength and I'm like, ah, my arms like turn to jello and I can't do it. The 3 bolts are those double square bolts that you kind of have to lock in there. They're a little precarious to see, so they're in there, trust me. Finally adding in the lower bolt for this Air Strut. Putting all this stuff in feels extremely good. It's like I'm stitching up the patient after a big open heart surgery. There's this little valve, it's this teeny little, so it's like a delicate little valve, and it says to tighten it down to 11 Newton meters. Well, I don't have a torque wrench that can get in there because I need an open-ended torque wrench. I don't have that. I've never even seen one. I'm sure they make them, but I don't have it. So I just do the, not an ugga-dugga, but more like a ugga-dugga, because I'm terrified of stripping this little thing. And then I have to order a new one. They're only like $8, but you know, car out of commission yet again. And of course, a new upper pinch bolt and nut. I got these off of SFCP Euro. Other bolts I get from EC Tuning. Well, whoever's cheaper, free shipping. That's what I go with. So now with all the control arms being firm, even though I haven't, you know, torqued anything down, I've really just hand snugged it down, it's still really hard to push the knuckle into place to hit those upper control arms. I mean, when I took it out, it was like ding with a little like pick and just plonk. Now putting it in, I'm like, so I use my C-clamps. Every single time I use a C-clamp for a job, I realize that I need larger C-clamps, and then I do the job and I forget that I even needed them, so that I remember the next time I do a job. So working with these small C-clamps was a little bit of a pain in the butt, but I was able to C-clamp the control arm spindles into the little holes and then get that bolt locked through. There's a space between where the knuckle goes into the control arm. Where it sits, it has to be 4 millimeters. So make sure you have your caliper handy for that. Yep. Make sure the caliper has batteries, that's also key. And I got new sway bar end links, but I didn't get new bushings. I should have got new bushings. I'm gonna order new bushings. They were $100, and I just, in the grand scheme of things, it was like a penny more than I wanted to spend at the time. I have them in my shopping cart, so I should probably just order them. I found some really cheap ones for VW on eBay for like $30, or I could order the Audi ones that are like $100. So we'll see which way I go. I kind of feel like I should order the expensive ones. I don't know. You know, normal people call it a sway bar. On the Bentley, they call it a stabilizer bar. Same thing. I wonder if mine's bent. The moment we were all waiting for is that new axle bolt. I actually bought new axle bolts. They were pretty expensive. And then the new CV axles that I got, they had axle bolts. So I've got extra axle bolts, in case anybody needs one. There's a little ride height sensor, and it's somewhat frustrating to get in. You have to like hold it down on one side with some little pliers, and then it's a 10 millimeter on the other side. I actually feel like mine is failing just due to some issues that I'm still getting, and it's really old looking, and I've probably bonked it around. So I ordered a new one for the driver's side. We'll see how it goes. If it seems effective, I'll order the rest. Now, before you torque anything down, it's time to bring the car into a ride height position. So I'm using my blue jack, and the jack has wheels on it. It like slides all around as I'm trying to jack it up into a ride height position, and then it doesn't even hit like the height that I need it to, because I've got the car jacks up so high. So then I had to like place something under it. Anyways, that's why I ended up buying a bottle jack for the next side, so I wouldn't have to deal with the wheels moving around and sliding around on me. This click is so satisfying. I bought a digital one and it beeps, and it just doesn't give the same feeling as that like click that I love. Okay, let's go through the torque specs too. I'm gonna read them. Just kidding, I can't read that fast, but screenshot this. It will help you in the future. Still working on this. And in case you're wondering, no, that is not my underwear. Those are not big, great underwear that you see. I am wearing sweatpants over leggings because I am that freezing in my garage. And at last, it's time to reinstall the rotor and the caliper. The rotor is, the two tricky things about that, the rotor is extremely heavy, like really heavy. And after you get the caliper on, there's this annoying, like a dust shield, and it pops off with such force. Once you pop it off with a spring, it'll like bounce right in your face. So watch out for that. But getting it back on is tricky. I have a trick for it, but it's not foolproof. It just kept popping off. I don't even know why. I do know why I put it on, to protect the brake pads, but it's not like I can see it with my wheels. My wheels are like completely solid almost. Last but not least, before you close up the trunk, don't forget this chisel right here, the air cleaner cover. There's a bunch of bolts. There's the long ones on one side, short ones on the other side. You'll know when you see it, but be careful because they are just being screwed into plastic. So I usually get like, you know, my automatic ratchet just to get them down, and then I gently hand tighten them with a ratchet, because I would hate to make that righty-tighty, loosey-goosey with these guys. It'd be so easy to. So unfortunately, while I was torquing down the center axle bolt, my battery died on my camera, so I didn't get that, but it is 200 Newton meters, and I used a cheetah bar at the end of it. It was very uneventful. I used my entire body weight to get there, and I heard the click, clickety clack clack, clickety clack. Oh, one thing to note, I set the car down, I lowered the car from the jack with the wheel on, just so the wheel was snug to the ground, but not resting all of its weight. You don't want to rest all the weight on until you've torqued down that center axle bolt. You could damage the hub that way. I'm sure my hub's already damaged because it's the one thing that I didn't replace. I'll have to go back to it and replace those someday. It was just, limited funds, you know what I mean? The time to take the car for a test drive. What do you think is going to happen? I'll tell you it's gonna happen. I am gutted, befuddled, baffled. The wind has been knocked out of me. It's a short test drive because the moment I got in the car and I turned on my street, I felt this like a rotation and like a, and I'm like, what did I do wrong? Like, I'm not surprised, but what did I do wrong? So I put the hazard lights on, and I slowly drive the car back, and it dawned on me. Yeah, I sat there in disbelief for, a solid few minutes. I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. And then I remembered when I asked my brother-in-law for help removing that stuck control arm bolt nut, whatever. He did whack my rotor a few times. I didn't even really inspect it when I was installing it, but I thought he must have hit something where it's rubbing against like the brake pad now. So sure enough, I didn't care that it was nighttime. I needed to see. I take the wheel off and I look, and there's basically 3 marks on the rotor on the inside that are up, like they are elevated. So I took a file and I very gently filed those down until they were level, no more high spots. And the next day I took it for a drive and there was no more scraping. I kind of want to buy a new rotor to replace that one, but again, limited funds. Let's just hold our horses, We've got other car projects to buy stuff for. So next up on this journey will be the passenger side. It got kind of windy. As well as continuing with the suspension with the new tie rods and some other little components. Thank you so much for joining me back on this, Ben's restoration. I'm thinking the next suspension stuff that I do is going to be on the Camaro, because it's got to be really easy compared to this. I did the suspension, most of it on my Mustang, but I know it's like been hard, but it's also been fun. So I kind of want to stay in that groove, but I don't know. I change my mind on a nightly basis when I'm looking at car parts. I am going to take a day off to get my garage painted. I'm doing this whole garage, what do they call it? Like not a renovation, but I'm just trying to make it look better. So I was able to do the back wall. That's all painted, do some of the ceiling. I got some new shelves, got some new black and yellow totes. I've been organizing, and then I'm going to tackle the wall to the right of me. So I've got to do the paint there, and I've also got a new shelf. So let's do it.